All right, I'm assuming we're good to go, right? So welcome everyone. Somebody chat at me. Let me know you have video, you have audio, you have a beverage in your hand. Let me know what's going on, just so I know we're all good.
You're good, John.
Anytime now. Someone's going to send one of those fancy chats, right? All right. You never know with these type of things, right? So you just got to go for it. And I think what happens, like last time, is when I try to share my screen after someone else shared their screen, it's not letting me. So I'm probably going to have to refresh my page to make this work. So hang tight. Okay, I'm back. You should be good. Now you should be able to see my screen again. Okay, that worked. We have screen, we have audio, we have face. Oh my gosh, look at that. It only took 2 minutes. Y'all, I know every time you teach virtually, technology works perfectly for you the first time with no issues ever, right? All right, so this is a Noteflight Learn session. I don't know if y'all have seen me present before in other ways. And I have a lot of ideas on advocacy and music and teaching online, but I just want an opportunity to walk you through Noteflight Learn and all of the amazing things that it can do. So we only have 45 minutes, and I could probably do this for 4 to 5 days. So let's jump in. Noteflight Learn is the education product provided by Noteflight. You probably know Noteflight as a web-based music notation product, and you can notate and compose music in any device. iPad, Chromebook, Mac PC, all on the web. Noteflight Learn is the product specifically for schools. And what that is gives everybody a Noteflight account, a unlimited premium, all features account, but it also creates a private site where only you, teachers, and students can collaborate together. So it is not on noteflight.com. When you use Noteflight Learn, when your students use Noteflight Learn, you're not logging onto a worldwide website where you can connect with anyone in the world. That's noteflight.com. Noteflight Learn is when you create a site for your students, whether it be ebrschools.noteflight.com or whatever it is, but you will create whatever domain you want. You will roster all of your students either with Google Classroom, or they can automatically enter via Canvas, Moodle, Schoology, Blackboard, Brightspace, et cetera, or you can create your own usernames and passwords right through Noteflight Learn. But the most important thing is it is COPPA, FERPA, GDPR, CCPA. It is compliant with everything. At the end of this session, if you want to try it, the best thing to do is try it. So you will click free trial, and you will be able to get a free trial of Noteflight Learn. So it looks like the mouse on my screen is not one of the mouse on your screen, but I'm not sure which one you're seeing. But there's a free trial button right there. And that's an automated system. So you will be up and running with Noteflight Learn in under 5 minutes. It'll set you up immediately, right? Now, next to that, you can also quote or purchase, and that's where you can figure out pricing, et cetera. So you go to noteflight.com/learn. That is the magic place where you'll essentially get all the information you ever want to get. There it is right there. You can click it in the chat, and you can also go and see everything else that's in there, including performance assessment. So Noteflight Learn provides both composition and performance assessment with our Soundcheck product. And so, yes, it's like smart music, but I'm biased. I'm going to say but better for a few different reasons, both in the type of assessment, but also the experience that we try to create with it. So you can check out Noteflight Learn here. Let's jump in. First thing I want to do is I want to talk about using Noteflight. When you create a Noteflight, you get started, you just create music. You can start and pick any particular template you want, or you can start with treble clef. You can import XML or MIDI files, so you can import anything that already exists. But in this case, I've already gotten started, and I'm on this beautiful blank score. Now, to compose a Noteflight, you click a measure, and you can type notes, right? And you should be able to hear the notes as I enter them there. So you can do this. You can play back, but I enter just by playing on my keyboard. I just press C, D, E. You can also repeat patterns, so I will hit the R key. In Boston up here, they say ah, but and I can just repeat notes and write music all as I go. Now, the thing with Noteflight when you work with students, one thing I just want to talk about with the notation editor before we get into all the other cool stuff and make this some performance assessment is that everything in Noteflight is accessible, and as far as actions you can do to music, it's accessible on this left-hand palette, right? So whoever's flipping my face around and keeping my face out of the way, I greatly appreciate it. Good teamwork, friends. In this left-hand palette, this menu will stay open, and you can see all the things and stuff you can do to the notes on the page. Now, some of these have checks by them, so you'll notice you can check some of these, and you can pin these to the top. And you see them at the top. They end up being pinned, and you can control which palettes you want to see. This is especially handy if you're using Noteflight on an iPad or a touchscreen device, because it's easy to hold up the phone and I have a phone somewhere and like tap the top of it. So those little palettes end up being at the top of your screen, and you can tap, tap, tap. If anyone's interested in how my little dog is, she's doing great. 11-year-olds and kicking, almost 12 now. But so as far as things to do the music, you can find anything you want. So if I'd like to slur the first two notes, I'd probably assume it's an articulation. There it is, slur. We can add a staccato. It's probably also an articulation, so I can add staccato, accent, whatever it is. Now, everything's in this left-hand side. So if I want to add dynamics and I want to make this forte, let's add a dynamic. We call it expression text. One thing we like to do at Noteflight is not bombard you with a lot of stuff in your face. You'll notice we don't like to have like pop-ups in the way unless we absolutely have to, especially with like when you're composing music, we try to keep the music in view at all times. But also, expression text is something you can just type whatever you want. So if it's piano, type a P, it'll be piano, right? So instead of just providing you with this huge menu to scroll through of like PPP, PP, P, MP, MF, F, FF, FFFFF, we just let you type. So you'll find that all over Noteflight, where we try to limit the menu options, but give you the full functionality. And I think that's important to make life easy on everyone. So the one thing I will show is if you cannot find a thing you want to do in this left-hand palette, or if you're a student and you're trying to figure out how to use this and you can't find it, this guide up here is worth its weight in gold. I can search anything. Let's say I want to add text or lyrics. I'm going to start typing lyrics. It's one of those fancy searches where it'll start finding, look, there it is, lyrics, text. I hover over. Notice the huge orange arrow that points to where lyrics is in the text menu, with Command L being the shortcut key on my Mac. It tells you right there. But also notice it shows in the result, text, lyrics, Command L. I can click right from the result, and it even gives me the thing. I was going to write, hi, this is a lyric, but I don't have enough notes, so I'll just delete these. But you get the point. So you can search anything. If I'd like to make these staccato, and I don't know where staccato is, articulation, staccato, ta-da. My notes are staccato, right? So as far as using Noteflight with students or trying to compose or edit music with Noteflight, just search the guide. You can search the whole thing. Also, everything in the menu has its own user guide entry. So you can go to the user guide and you can see, it took me right to the staccato section, but it follows the same order: score, edit, duration, rhythm, pitch. I'll go down here, show you score, edit, duration, rhythm, pitch, right? It follows the same order of palettes as the Noteflight editor does. So you can easily find how to do things. And also notice that it's its own URL. So if I'm doing I'll go back to lyrics. If I'm doing a songwriting lesson with students and I want to make sure they know how to enter lyrics without them saying, hey, how do I, especially on an online lesson when you might not actually be with the students when they're working on their homework and you want to get ahead and give them all the resources they need to be successful, you can highlight and copy this URL and put it right in your assignment. And anyone can go to it. It'll take them right to the lyrics section of the user guide. If that's not enough, but wait, there's more. If you act now, you can get double your order with just shipping and handling. So we also have a help center, right? So if you go into the Noteflight Help Center, which is support.noteflight.com, we pride ourselves in being so very helpful. Nobody wants to get stuck composing music. No student wants to get stuck while they're trying to do their assignments. So any question you have should be answered in the Help Center. So if you want to figure out how does Soundcheck work, I heard Soundcheck's way better than Smart Music. Oh, look at that. Let's have an overview of how it works. There's a full article. Our article removes student article. Number 1, words with a picture. 2, do this. Here's a picture. 3, it's so everything is laid out, simple, ready to go. Also, there's tons of other information about using Noteflight. So if you're looking for keyboard shortcuts and you're trying to figure out what those are, and you can search anything you want and there are shortcuts. Oh my gosh, look, add cheap keyboard shortcuts right here. Here's a video. So everything's in here, right? That's really, really important, right? And we constantly, I mean, I will say that if we are probably making edits to this every week, if not every day. What we do is if people write support.noteflight.com or support@noteflight.com for help, we make sure that the answer they're looking for is written in article format. If you write support at Noteflight, you will get wonderful help. You'll probably get links to lots of places because we should not have any secrets. Like as a company, there should be nothing that you have to email us for that we can't provide you on your own. So we have a rule. If you write support at Noteflight and the answer to your question isn't already available in our help center, we will write the full article to answer your question and send it to you on the spot because that's how we keep things going. We also search that every month. I pull a report of every search term that everyone's entered in our help center, and we look at it and we make sure that they all found articles and any search terms that did not find the answers they need. We either rewrite or edit or adjust articles or write new articles to support that. So it's really important to our company culture to be a service, not just a software. So as far as using the editor, that's pretty much it. Everything you need, enter notes, type notes, edit away, and you can use all the menus here, and you can have the guide to search. Now, one thing about how Noteflight does parts, which is really interesting, and I have to say parts, not pots up here, because if you want to add parts to your score, you can add them just by going to the parts panel and searching. I'm going to add trumpet because it's the best instrument of all, right? Duh. I'm going to call this part 1. Oop. Also would appreciate that, Pat 1. And I can, copy and paste some notes. Let me just do this just so I can get an example here. One thing I'll show you about adding other parts is you can, of course, go in and out of transpose mode. So I can turn off concert pitch, and there we're transposed. You can order parts by simply dragging and dropping. Obviously, the trumpet needs to be on top, duh. But also, the parts are dynamically connected with the score. So let me add something else really obnoxious, like the bassoon. Heaven forbid. Were there 9 keys for the thumb? That's ridiculous. Who thought of that? The 18th century called, they'd like their fingering system back. Thank you very much. That's probably too low for that bassoon. Let's put them somewhere more realistic. Okay, so we can order around. I think the bassoon's where it needs to be. So now check this out. If you want to, the reason I show the different parts, because you can hide and show parts as you need them, right? So one thing I want to show is that if you need to send something to students and you need them to access their music, you don't have to export every single thing. You can simply they can isolate their individual notes. So if I want to see just the trumpet, I can just solo the trumpet. If I want to see just part 1, etc., or I can bring them all back. All of them are dynamically connected. You can also individually format everything to make it look beautiful, because just like Frank B. Wicks, RIP, always said, a clean band room sounds better. And I will say that a clean, well-organized piece of music plays better. So let me go and show you. Let's say I want to edit some stuff in the score, and I want to make the notes a little smaller to make it more score. Maybe I want to make the page landscape. That's probably smart for a musical score. So there it is, right? That's probably too long, but I'll bring it back to portrait. Now, maybe I want to make the heading really, really big because, like they say, go Tigers go. So there it is. Now I can go into all of my parts and notice it's letting me see one of the parts as a guide. My parts need to be a little bigger. So I can go in my parts and make the notes much bigger. Now the text size followed, so maybe I don't want to do that. So let's take that away and go in and say, you know what, let's bring this title down. That's a little too much Tigers. So now I've adjusted my parts to look different to the score. Or if I want to get super granular, right, if my bassoon player really needs like extra help, I can make their notes super, super big, right, just by going in and adjusting this. So let me go in and try this again. Note size on bassoon. Hang on a second. Yeah, we're going to reload this. So you can individually adjust every part. And if you want to go in, I just say this because it makes a huge difference when you're trying to organize music for students and what they see. Yeah, there it is. See, super big. And so now I can make my bassoon part big, but my other parts are not affected and my full score is not affected. So I just want to point out all of that's dynamically connected. So no more exporting to different things, and everything is connected in that way. Now, let's talk about, so that's a Noteflight score. That's hiding and showing parts in Noteflight. Let's make this back to the full thing. Now, let's go into Soundcheck. So Soundcheck is the performance assessment side of Noteflight. And I have a full band score up here, by the way, just to show as an example. And like I said before, with these full band scores, you can also hide and remove parts you don't need, like the baritone TC, just invented for third trumpet players. Optional bells, nope, not needed. Oh my gosh, do we need a bass clarinet? I'll keep it. Oh, no oboe, please help us all. So notice I can just condense this score as I need to, but point that out because if I send this music to my students, the student can go in and say, I just want to see the flute part, or I just want to see the bassoon part, and it will do that. Now, let's look at that same score in Soundcheck. Notice that this is the same exact music in Soundcheck. Soundcheck is the performance assessment side of Noteflight. This is new and super exciting. So notice Soundcheck looks exactly like Noteflight. We wanted performance assessment to look like your performance assessment came right off the page, right? So we don't want to bring you to an application. We don't want to switch into something that looks and feels different. This looks and feels like the same piece of music that you can scroll through and read, but you have Soundcheck controls at the top, right? So I'm going to go ahead and play real quick, and you can sort of hear it playing back with the Noteflight sounds. And I'm sure you can hear that. I'm going to turn my monitor on so I can hear it too. Now, you can also go and look at individual parts. So just like with Noteflight, all of the individual parts are here with Soundcheck. So you create a Soundcheck score, you send it to your students for an assignment, and they go in and pick their part. So I'm Johnny Trumpet 1, obviously. So I'm going to pull up this Trumpet 1 part and say, I'd like to be assessed on these measures. So let me go mark selection. And I'm going to play this and show you how Soundcheck works. Now, a couple things real quick. You select your part. You can also go in and adjust the tempo. So it'll create it at whatever tempo the Noteflight score is, but you can, of course, make it slower or faster. You can go in and adjust playback. So now for my playback, we're hearing demo audio, which is just this trumpet part. Beautiful. Or you can also play back with a backing track. In this case, it'd be the full score. So for choral folks, this is really important because with choir music, sometimes it's hard to expect students to hold that pitch throughout. So they can actually sing their assessment, listening to the full piano part and full choir arrangement in their headphones at the same time. Always use headphones when using Soundcheck, obviously. And then recording options, there's other options as well. You can turn the cursor off. Some people don't like to see the cursor going by, and generally a lot of folks don't, but I'm going to keep it on just so you can see what I'm doing. You can choose to record with Metronome. You can also have it follow you. I'll be honest, some people don't like this feature because if a student plays a wrong note, it's going to wait to hear that note. But usually I'll play with the Metronome or the backing track. But for now, we'll just record with the Metronome just as a default. So let's go in and see what happens. I'm going to play my little trumpet and I'm going to put a mute in so it's not obnoxiously loud. And let's get some assessment. Nailed it. Awesome. What? 65, bad rhythm, pitch. So anyway, I was obviously trying to demonstrate. So let me save this take and show you what we hear. So Soundcheck is the line dips. That's an indication of a rhythm error, and the color indicates a pitch error. Now it will say pitch in both wrong notes, but it'll also determine pitch as far as sharp. So you heard I was actually intentionally sharp here to kind of show how this works. So it picked up the intonation errors as well as the wrong note. Says G sharp. Notice it's the wrong note in the correct transposed key. We're trying to get it smart enough to figure out inharmonics, but in this case, I actually played an A flat, not a G sharp. So we'll have that debate with Smart Soundcheck later. But here's my score. I can try again, or I can submit this. Notice my score is saved up here in Noteflight. So if I was a student doing this, I could turn this into Google Classroom, and that score would, in fact, add to the gradebook. Anytime a student submits a Soundcheck score that they've have a rating for, and you're integrated with another learning management system, it adds the grade to the gradebook automatically for you. That's a handy dandy little feature. So we can try this again, but I'm just going to leave it alone. That way you can kind of see what's going on. A couple other points. Notice it's metering. This is a really helpful thing up on the record button. So if a student's getting ready to play and they want to make sure their microphone's not too loud, you can see I can make it turn red. So it's pretty easy to be able to see your metering as you go. Also, Soundcheck version of every Soundcheck score is created from a Noteflight score. So if you want to create an edit, do it in different keys, try it in different variations, you can simply go back to the Noteflight score and generate Soundcheck again. So let me show you how this works. I'm going to go back to my Noteflight score, my Go Tigers beautiful arrangement that I just played. I love it. That is just absolute Grammy worthy. So now I'm going to go create Soundcheck. Now, this is where it gets awesome. You hit create Soundcheck and you can set your goal, which is, your percentage. This is really, you saw in the Soundcheck score, it has a score goal of 80%. And you'll notice if I score over 80%, I either get yellow or green, depending on what the other ones are. So that's sort of how that works. It's just a guide. There's 3 different difficulties of Soundcheck. So you can choose to have the assessment easy, medium, or hard. Think of it as sort of tolerance. So if you want to be like super strict on intonation and rhythm, you can also make it hard. And you can limit attempts. So you can even have students do a single sight reading where they get 1 try. Once they hit record, it absolutely that's their take. They have to own it. Now, I'll get to your question in just a second, James, because that's coming up. As far as Soundcheck's concerned, right now I'm taking something that I created, you saw me, and I'm making a Soundcheck for myself. So this is kind of cool because students can compose music and immediately create a Soundcheck score for themselves. And this opens up the possibility to do lots of cool stuff. For example, compose a sight reading and then try to play it at 90% or higher accuracy, right? So this blends composition and performance assessment together seamlessly. The other thing you can do, which is super cool, is students can create Soundcheck scores and assign those Soundcheck scores to other students. So I'm going to show how assignments work in Noteflight here in a second, but a teacher can create assignments for students, but students can create assignments as well. And the way we handle assignments is essentially we have a feature that creates automatic copies. So here's our Soundcheck score. Go Tigers, and we can notice it looks exactly like Noteflight. So I can even go in and go to the different parts and notice it took all the part formatting that I did, right? I was talking about part formatting earlier. So anyone that's ever tried to take a music XML file and import it into another program and suffer the consequences is probably jumping up and down right now, because what you see in Noteflight is exactly what you get in Soundcheck. It's 100% accurate. You can seamlessly go from one to the other in the same platform, and it all looks and feels the same. And so I won't make you listen to me play bad trumpet again, but that's how this works. Now, let's talk about sharing, right? So I'm going to go back and open up the Noteflight version of this, and let's show how we do assignments. So anything in Noteflight can be shared with students simply by going to share. Now, when I share the score, I have 2 options, right? I can allow other people to view, comment, or edit my score, right? This is having people on your actual score, or I can create an activity template. Activity template is what you'll use for assignments all the time, because this actually means that anyone who hits that goes to your score gets their own unique copy of it automatically. So this is setting up how you're going to do it. And then you say who has permission to do these things you'd like them to do. And in this case, it's going to be all site members. So there it is. I can copy a link and I can show it. Now, same thing with Soundcheck, right? I can go into my Soundcheck score and I can create an assignment for my students. Now, again, the cool thing is I already played the trumpet part, but this is going to assign the full score. So a student can pick their part. You don't have to do this for every individual instrument. Notice you can change the settings, right? So if I want to make this hard and I want to maybe make it 1 attempt and 90% goal, because you're creating an assignment for students now, you can change those settings on the fly. So I'm going to allow students to do this. Ta-da. I'm going to copy and share this link. Any student who hits that URL in your Noteflight Learn site will get their own version of Soundcheck. They can record it, perform it, they'll get a rating, and they can send you their version. And you as a teacher will be able to see every student that opens it. So I'll show you what that looks like too. Where am I? Too many tabs. Okay, so what this is that anytime that a student opens something. Let me find an example. You see these puzzle pieces? That's how I know. I'm going into the record me section. So this is another score I've done in the past. This is a little recording exercise, but 20 students have opened it. So you see now there's this view 20 up here. When I click on that, I can view every student who's opened it and done their assignment. So that's how this whole template sharing feature works, right? When you share something, every time a student goes to this, they get their own version, and you get a record of how every student does it. Now, Google Classroom, folks, raise your hand. We all use Google. If you use Google Classroom, assigning content in Google is directly integrated. So if you're using Noteflight Learn with Google Classroom, I do want to show that there's this whole create Google assignment automatically in here. Of course, you can share it, but you can automatically create assignments in Google Classroom. You can select one or multiple classes, right? So I can assign to all these classes. I can give it a title. I'm going to call it the scale. Caps lock's on, so we're going to be shouting. I can tell students what their point value is. I can give it a due date for Friday. I can even be super specific and say I want it due at 1:57 p.m. on Friday, right? And I can assign it right now. I can save it as a draft, or I can schedule assignment to students, right? So you can see, and you can even schedule a start date. So I can have this turn on tomorrow, and I can have it turn on at 8 a.m., 8 o'clock a.m., and now at 8 a.m. tomorrow, this assignment will turn on in all those Google classes, and it'll be due at the end of the week. So direct integration, automatically done with Google. Pretty cool, right? Just want to show that as well. Now, we have all this content. So you have anything you compose in Noteflight, anything you can perform and assess in Soundcheck. But wait, it just keeps getting better because we have all of these libraries of content. Now, yes, this is where your question becomes very valuable, James. Right now, this is all How Leonard content. We are not going to make this strictly only How Leonard content, but it is right now because the fact of the matter is I could spend the next 20 years of our lives only converting How Leonard content because there's so much of it, right? So we are going to have other publishers involved. We're going to bring in other libraries, but we will actually be adding more. But right now we have our laundry list of How Leonard stuff we're trying to get through first. Ed, yes, Noteflight directly integrates with Canvas as well. So you can set it up as an external tool. We have lots of teachers that use that. So included with Noteflight Learn is this what we call the included library. So this includes composition exercises, theories, scales, melodies, so like things that common things that we all need, like scales and every possible variation and things like that. But we also have these 6 libraries of published content. So you have band and choir and pop and orchestra and all of this stuff. So let me just open some of these up and show you. So my second monitor sometimes does weird things, but I can open up Ancient Stone Circles by Robert Buckley. So I'm going to do that. Let's do some music here in the choral library. Which one are we going to do? Of course, the rain. And we have pop. So just going down, here's an example of a score. And I can look at this. I can take this and open this in Noteflight. I can edit it. I can have students use it to help learn their part. I can have them color the melody. I can have them rearrange and things like that. But you can also open it right in Soundcheck. So same thing, always have the settings you can choose, or you use the defaults. But notice this is automatically rendered in Soundcheck in a few seconds. So I can take this and make it a performance assessment and then instantly go and assign this to my students. I'm going to make an assignment. I'd like them to have 2 chances to do this. And ta-da, I send this link to my students, and that was an assignment. I literally created an assignment for all my students to get performance assessment on that piece in just a few clicks, right? So that's pretty cool. Now, the other thing, if I wanted, and I just took it right out, but if I wanted to make an edit to it, I can always go back in that band library, and I can open up Ancient Stone Circles as a Noteflight score, and we can do lots of fun stuff with it as well. So if I want to go and actually edit it, right, we can have students rearrange, compose, and that's the type of thing that's really fun right now to me with online learning and having the ability for students just to spend time with music. I love having students just be able to like roll up their sleeves and get in the sandbox and just get messy and play with music. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to go, and obviously I'm going to get rid of the oboe part because ain't nobody want that, right? And I'm going to go ahead and turn off some of these parts. I'm going to delete some. I'm just kind of going through and deleting parts where needed. But you can also go and make this a composition assignment. There's 2 cool things that I have students do frequently. First is use these colors to go in and color the melody. And also color all parts that have the same line, because most students don't realize, like in a band score, they're probably always have a function that's shared with other students, right? And they all probably have, unison lines. So pick a color and, color every melody line blue, every harmony line green. No, Lee, never. I was scorned by a double read once. I still have the scar. And you can color all the bass lines orange or whatever. So having students just map out the music, super great. The other thing I like to do is what I like to call like my melody. So I'll have students go to the score and they have to create their part. So in this case, I'll make a trumpet part. So now what they have to do is they have to pick out the melody from the music, and they have to create a single line part for their instrument that plays the melody the whole time. And that's really cool because trombone players don't even know what melody is. In fact, they can barely spell it, right? But so we can do is go in, and they have to go through and say, what's the melody? And, it's okay for younger students, because if you think the alto sax have the melody here, I'll just copy, right, and go up and paste this into trumpet. And the cool thing is probably multi-measure rests, is because it's transposed, it'll transpose it for you, right? So it'll help them get it in the range of their instrument in the right key. And then they can go through and imagine the student then isolating just their part that has the melody, creating a Soundcheck score and performance assessment themselves on playing the melody. But the great thing is that the kid got to do all of that, so there's these deeper understandings of music, right? We don't want to be a platform that just has one function, right? We want a platform that makes it easy to do the things you want, but we want students to be able to just manipulate and play with music. So at our core, Noteflight will always be a full notation editor. Everything in Noteflight is fully editable, right? We never want to go down the path of having music that's just stuck in one way. So anyway, lots of cool stuff you can do there. So all that content, all that performance assessment, all that ability to edit. Now, the other thing we have a lot of, and this is where I'm probably, hopefully, cross your fingers, adding about 500 pieces of music by the end of the year, is this pop library, right? Because Leonard has a lot of pop music, and we have about 381, give or take right here, right? Pop songs in here. And this is really cool because to me, like, let me go to show tunes because I'm a sucker for a musical theater, as anyone knows. But you can pull up all this pop music, and there's so much you can do. First of all, you have piano and melody line for all of this. Kids can totally just play and do this. So I can open this in Soundcheck and immediately create a Soundcheck score. But let's have some fun here, right? I have 9 minutes left. So let's see if I can show one cool thing that I like to do, right? So now, in this case, I have chords, melody. So let's say I wanted to take this as a student and change this voice line to a trumpet part, right? So I'm going to start there. I don't know why my caps lock is on. I'm shouting at everyone. If y'all heard the term bust a caps lock in the chat, yeah, don't be busting a caps lock on me. So now I have 3 hashtags. Now the other thing too is this is a Noteflight score. So if I don't know what to do with 3 hashtags, because that is just way too much trouble for me, I can take this down into another key. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to go to the pitch section. Now, if I didn't know it was under pitch, I would have gone to guide and typed transpose. But I'm going to take this bad boy down a major second, and I'm going to only deal with one of those famous hashtags in the trumpet line. So now I can now play a single line melody with piano in Noteflight. Like, that's pretty cool, right? What if also this became an improvisation piece, right? So I love to get students just play and explore music. So one of the things I've had them done is use the recording feature in Noteflight, right? You can audio record directly to the Noteflight score. So in this case, what we'll do, I'm going to turn on my little monitoring so I can hear this, is we can just use it as a chance to have students explore sounds. And, you know, this way of just like learn to improvise, play your own melody. You can follow some of the guide notes, but play around it in the scale, and they can record themselves and see what it sounds like. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So that's what that sounds like normally, but I'm going to record, and let's see. So I can record the melody, then we do a little different. Whatever you want to do, right? So I love having kids just play, explore. It's going to record exactly what they did. It's going to pop up here in a second, and you'll see it's my trumpet playing whatever I played. So another extension I'll do here is, and you can hear my recording played back, right? Sometimes I'll have students go in and say, hey, find a cool lick that you played, find something you really liked that when you were just doodling, and why don't you notate that? So you could add a new part, or you can just change these notes, and it's going to tell me I'm changing something that's recorded, and I could notate what I played, right? So you can even turn this into like a create your own melody. I could add a second part, record to that, make a descant. And then, of course, as soon as the student maybe notates or whatever they played, they can turn into a Soundcheck file, and they can assess themselves playing those parts. They can send it to a friend, right? And, of course, recorded in Noteflight can be exported. So when you record in Noteflight, you can export it, or you record in Soundcheck, you can export it. So yeah, exactly. But there's tons and tons of opportunities to think about how to use sheet music that's completely editable with performance opportunities, but most importantly, get kids involved. And that's what really excites me is I want to think of opportunities where students can share with other students and just start learning about music with music, right? Learn music by dissecting music. So a couple of the things with these content libraries that I like to do is when it comes to composition, right? Let students learn to compose. I mean, of course, you can go back to the pop library and you can take anything and add a blank staff and have them compose a melody over top of whatever the chords are or whatever song. I like to do this. One thing about the orchestra library, most of the music is violin 1, violin 2, viola, cello. I mean, that stuff can be rearranged and reorchestrated for anything. So then we start learning how to steal music from one of the other, right? This is a super important skill because then we're teaching students how to find music and make it work for their own instrument. All music editable. I know, who would have thought? It's crazy. It's almost like the world's largest sheet music publisher bought a music notation company and put John Mlynczak in charge. So this piano library becomes really cool. I'll show one more little my tricks up my sleeve here is, let me see if chill out is going to work. I actually don't have one in mind. So yeah, this is kind of cool. So this is like a little simple piano thing. And I know a lot of us ignore this because we think like, oh, we're not teaching piano, but this becomes a great composition tool because I will take something like this And I'll just delete this whole part, right? But you have these little base clef guides, right? So I can go in and do this. And then I can go into my text menu. I don't know why I clicked this one there. And I can add this little prompt. And I can make this an assignment and say, oops, I was going to say please, but I did something wacky. Please. I got the caps lock all on. Compose a melody in the treble staff. So there you go. You can copy this out. You could also add another part. And then this is now an assignment for students. So what do I do with an assignment? I'll go share, ta-da, give every student their own copy. Anyone I send the link to, ta-da, there it is. I send it to students. They can do it. So tons of opportunity here, right? So let's go back and review. If you want to try using Noteflight, you can go in and you can start this free trial right now. As soon as you do, it'll automatically take you in. You'll be able to immediately create your own Noteflight Learn site. And here's what's going to happen. It's going to say, do you want to do standalone? Do you want to integrate with Google? Or do you want to set up LTI integration? So like for Canvas, you would select LTI. You'll click this, pick your name, and then you'll enter your stuff, and it will tell you blah, 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 automatically what to do. Same with Google. You'll pick your name. It'll take you to connect to Google, or you can do standalone. And once you do, like I said, the support center has all the information you ever need. So if you go to Noteflight Learn section, standalone, Google, LMS, external LEA, whatever, however you want to create your site, there's a whole block of instructions and help for you to get going. So everything is about as self-starting as needs to be. All of your Soundcheck information is here on noteflight.com/soundcheck. And you can go and check out and purchase that as well. Noteflight Learn is sold in tiers, essentially. So you can purchase everything all together, or you can choose. If you want just the composition, you can do that. You can always add content and Soundcheck as well. So all in, it's about $8 a user. If you, for some reason, don't want the content libraries, you don't have to have them, or you don't have to have them for all users. So a lot of times people will have 1,000 students in the school district that want to use this, but they only want content for 500 and they want Soundcheck for 500. You can mix and match, right? So that's also really, really important, because we understand that like not everyone needs everything, and we're trying to control the price. So like, what's the progressive only pay for what you get? So that's how that works. Now, in my last 1 minute, I will tell you that we are very serious at Noteflight. We have the most amazing team of folks that are here for you. We are a service. When you sign up for Noteflight, you will get professional development. We will make you. You will meet with our support lead, and he will walk you through and look at your site. We actually check everyone's site, and if it's not set up yet or something looks wrong, we will contact you. So we are double checking everything. We are Then we have a team of trainers that we will come in and offer professional development to your school, answer any questions. We'll work with all the teachers in your district, and we will do that several times a year, right? We are not just a software sale. We want to be partners in educating students, right? We have over 500,000 students using Noteflight Learn right now, and it is growing still. So definitely take advantage. Lisa, you're way too nice. Definitely take advantage of us, use our team, use us as a service, and we respond to feedback really quickly. So if there's anything you need or want, you can always give us feedback. If you have any questions about Noteflight, you can go to noteflight.com/learn. If you want to talk to our team or set up something right away, info@noteflight.com. And if you want to reach me, I am John at noteflight.com. So thank you so much for hanging out this afternoon. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of LMEA, folks. I'm sorry I can't be there with y'all in person, but stay safe, wear a mask, and have a wonderful holiday season. Appreciate y'all.